The outside's not just this afterthought, it's a real key part of the home. And when we look at our survey data, Australians invest more in their outdoor spaces than any other market in the world. And it's climate induced, we have more space, but it's also this connection to the outdoors, this relaxed Aussie hospitality. And when you combine that love of the outside with the technical evolution of materials, we see really strong interior trends coming to the outside as well.
It's probably also a link, I'm thinking as you're saying that so much of our homes have these large expanses of glass, so it's not just an outdoor space we go to, but we also see it.
Absolutely.
Even during winter through the home. So does that mean that the theme, the interior theme, the style then flows from inside to out?
Absolutely, and that core trend, that indoor-outdoor transition, you get these spaces that are undefined in a way. Your indoor becomes your outdoor. You open up the doors, your lounge room becomes an extension of the outside, and vice versa. So a lot of those sort of macro trends about obviously the functionality, but everyone wants that personal expression, my unique sense of style, and we see that coming out really strongly in the trends that we're talking about today.
Yeah, let's have a look at some of those trends. Let's start with webbing and that sort of interesting detail.
Yeah, so a lot of it is the evolution, right? You couldn't have materials that could sustain the outdoor style and, you know, the weather conditions in the past. So what we're seeing are, you know, these intricate little furniture items, woven materials, and I think a lot of it is making sure that you're finding what resonates with you, because it's not only about having a trend because you see it on a fantastic website, you actually want to do it because you like it. So our suggestion is go through, look at the photos, find the stuff you really love, then investigate if that's going to be right for you and your environment.
It's quite beautiful watching these, particularly that shot there where the sun is filtering through it too. So you get this very interesting effect on light.
Absolutely.
Rather than them also just being quite comfortable to sit on. It's nice texture, isn't it?
Yeah, so texture is so key in what we talk about. And when you speak about light, when we engage with our designers, and our landscape architects and designers are such high quality, so the Aussies lead the way in the engagement we see on house. And you think about a space as a blank canvas, as it were, and the outdoor as a canvas is so interesting because you've got all these different colour tones, colour palettes, and also the capacity to play with light and wind and all the environmental conditions as well.
And in most parts of Australia, that landscape changes throughout the year. Yeah.
The colours are so different. I'm noticing on this one too that beautiful use of the webbing, but also with timber. So mixed materials are pretty common as well.
And we see that in the kitchen, in the bathroom as well. So people don't want uniformity anymore. They want that individual expression and touch. And the mixed materials gives the capacity for different textures, different feelings, also eclecticism of style. So it's mixing and matching and finding something that's really bespoke and unique to who you are. And we see that with timber outside, rope, you see brass now outside as well. Also softer linens and other materials.
And lots of wicker and woven, which is always popular, that bamboo, like those hanging chairs.
Yeah, that's been around since my time.
Yeah, they just sort of call you to want to go, somehow get up there and think once you're in there, is it as comfortable as I think it's going to be? But they're definitely a draw card in the backyard,
but even like this space here, right, you know, that transitional, that's as beautiful as any interior room, and having all those different conditions that you can sort of enjoy the outside but really relax and live in your space, which is critical.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, low-slung seating, that's another trend that people are looking up a lot. Not great if you're particularly tall, can it?
Nice to get into, but not nice to get out of.
Well, it's funny you say that.
My favourite kind of...
It actually changes based on the popularity, and this is what our professionals tell us, by age. So older people don't like it slung back as much. I think low slung, I think of jeans in the 90s, right?
Yeah.
And like that, it's just a trend, but it's also a trend that ties into what you want your space to be. And so many of these, like this day bed, it's like, sit down, sure, have something to eat, but you can imagine yourself easing back throughout the day, newspaper, radio on in the background, and just having a little cat nap in the sun.
Yeah, maybe go from one angle and slowly recline as you're onto your second and your third spritz for the afternoon. Yeah, I suppose it is age. That's an interesting point that you make, Tony, about that, because obviously styling outside spaces from an interior design point of view, I have to think about that, but you're seeing that in the images, this age determination of it as well.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, different people have different stuff that resonate with them, and because we've got so much data about our users, we can sort of segment to see what's trending for the different groups, and it is definitely the younger people are going for more lower slung seating at this stage.
Yeah, and chunky's in, but we're talking about timbers.
Yeah, don't look at me when you say that.
I did it.
I need some chunky timber restraints after my chunky Christmas eating. But, we talked about timber before, and again, it's these beautiful statement pieces that is the integration of mixed materials. We see so many teaks coming through and beautiful colours, and it's just, you know, it's matched with, you know, similar pieces, but also used as juxtaposition with other things going on in that outdoor space. Well, what is interesting about timber, though, is depending on where you place it, there's obviously different levels of care required to make sure it can sustain in the elements. And there's so many articles, advice, engagement with professionals that we have about how do you pick the right material for the space that you want to create.
It's really nice, some of those shots, this one and the next one in particular, those big wide arms that give him that chunky look are also perfect to lay your arm and also place a drink. So they serve almost as a little side table as well in themselves.
And hydration is important in the outdoors.
It's critical.
I know, we're speaking your language, aren't we? From timber to powder-coated aluminium. Now, this is a great product for the Australian sun because it performs so well outside.
Absolutely. It's easy. You don't have to worry about it. It gives a capacity to do something a little bit different. These images, I think they're mostly greys and blacks, but what you do have is an opportunity for pops of colour.
Correct.
So, you know, neon pinks, yellows, blues, purples coming through, and it's just lightweight, easy to move around, and fantastic for the elements. So it's a great material and a great decision to use.
Yeah, look, they look beautiful. They also give the ability for the opposite of that chunky look in those beautiful, very sinuous, thin lines. And there's that webbing effect almost again repeated in that coffee table. So playing nicely with light. It's quite good because it can make an outdoor space feel larger because the furniture's not so thick and heavy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Modular sofas. So we're definitely seeing this go from the inside living areas to outside. This is something that's really easy transition.
Core functionality, right? And what is interesting, the calibre and quality of outdoor furniture now, you see people sometimes picking outdoor items to place them inside as well. And from the modular piece, it's just been
look at that. That's beautiful. I could have that inside.
Yeah,
it's stunning.
The flexibility to move stuff around as you need. So hospitality and entertaining, functionality is so critical in what you want to do, right? Do you want to sit down with your family? Do you want to have your mates over? So the capacity to move stuff around in a modular component or build stuff to how you want it specifically is obviously gives you that flexibility.
So having a couch on the lawn isn't just what they do in frat parties.
No, I think it's also really good when you're seeing that beautiful mixture of the fabric with the thin legs, so you can get in easily and hose the outdoor space because you know there's going to be dust and leaves and you know muck from just being outside, but it also makes the space feel lighter and airier.
Yeah, absolutely.
Beautiful mixture. And what about colour tones? You mentioned those greys, which are obviously popular and internally as well, but a lot of neutrals. Yeah,
always neutrals. Now I started at Howes nearly 5 years ago, and when I started, it was like Hamptons was like trending, and it hasn't abated. So like it's like the eastern seaboard of Australia wants to be eastern seaboard of the US. So I mean, obviously the outside there are these soft tones and neutral palettes, and what it does give it's a lightness, a freshness, the breeziness, which is just nice to be around. It also is a safe choice, right? So you can have this core base of soft neutral tones, but then that capacity to have scatter cushions, candles, accessories to really have your pops of colour that are easy to refresh over time.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Don't you like that?
I do like that.
I can see you there. The nice mojito in your hand. Now, we've seen a lot of transition
Just as a prop.
Just a lot of transition in the fabrics. So fabrics have come a long way. You know, I remember having to look like for British linen because of its quality to be more colour fast, but there's a lot more fabrics these days that are synthetics but feel nicer. So how's that going?
So really sumptuous and textural, right? And I think something about some of the outdoor shots, it's you want to be able to relax in it and really feel regal and, you know, enjoy the space. So we're seeing, you know, fabrics with sheer on them. There's outdoor velvets now. There's outdoor curtains. So that capacity to really have
are they weatherproof?
So there's synthetic evolution that you just could not do 10, 15 years ago.
So will they take the rain as well as the light?
And so it's fantastic in the fact that you've now got all these choices at your disposal, so you can be more creative and really get the feeling and the experience of what you want.
It's funny, Tony, I'm not going to blow the horn for you, but I was actually checking out your site just during the week for unrelated, and there is so many images, and Sophie, it is such a big thing, these beautiful fabrics, because it used to be the colour fasting that was the issue. You know, colour in Australian sun just fades. Our sun is so strong, but now the quality of them is really amazing. So you're getting a lot of beautiful texture and feel, but also lots of great pattern, and it works so well with the outdoors.
So much, and it's so much what we see in the rest of the house as well, right? So there's this evolution from monochromatic, you know, consistent styling then different materials, different textures, different colours and different patterns. Everyone wants to feel individual and get the experience that they want. So we're seeing that indoor and outside now as well.
Yeah, great. Tony, always great to have you on the show. I remember when you joined House, and you scare me saying that it's 5 years ago, so I'm feeling old. Always great to have you on here, and also to see the eyes, because your eyes through the House site is like, you know, millions of eyes, so we get to share that knowledge on the show. Really great to have you here.
So much.
Happy New Year, and we look forward to having you here throughout the year.
Looking forward to it.
Thanks so much.
Cheers. Thanks.
Thanks, Tony.